they keep calling people Captain Marvel review bombers, but you can't actually review the movie yet, so it's kind of frustrating. But okay, I get what they're trying to say. However, you shitlords have made the Captain Marvel the lowest rated score in the MCU. Congratulations, you have been heard. And now this is comicbook.com. I don't think they're overly angry about it, but you've certainly gotten the attention of the I don't want to use SJW, but this is from comicbook.com. Captain Marvel review bombers have dropped Rotten Tomatoes audience rating to the lowest in the MCU. There's an interesting thing here, okay? I know there's a lot of people upset. I have stated I'm not going to go to the opening weekend of Captain Marvel. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a bad movie, and I don't want to blame Marvel Studios because identitarian, leftist, regressives, whatever, keep writing about it. Right? There were these stories coming out about Black Panther. There were these stories coming out about Wonder Woman. But I will make the distinction that Captain Marvel's marketing is specifically targeting that audience. So when they come together, that's when I back away. That's when I'm like, okay, no, I'm backing off. They keep talking about review bombers, though. Now, I have talked about this issue several times, but there's a reason why I'm bringing this up again, even though this article's from 2 days ago. And this is very important for all of you who do not want to see Captain Marvel, are concerned about how it may be bad for the MCU. I am one of these people, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. But I'm not going to be tricked. Like I said in the last video, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You're not going to fool me a third time. But here's another story we have. Captain Marvel advance ticket sales have already surpassed Wonder Woman. Here's why. So I don't know what Deseret News is. It's got a positive rating, so I'll trust them. But they're citing, ultimately, Fandango. Black Panther was the #1 fastest presale for a superhero film. And #2 is Captain Marvel. #3 is Wonder Woman. #4 is Aquaman. 5 is Deadpool. I think this says something really interesting. So while there are many people who are big fans of the MCU voicing their opinion, which is a negative, they don't want to see Captain Marvel, and I'm going to sit this one out. I'm not saying I'm going to sit it out because I hate the Whammons or anything. There's nothing to do with that. Wonder Woman is in my top movies. Maybe even #2 after Doctor Strange. I really did think it was good. Black Panther I wouldn't necessarily put in my top 5, but I do appreciate how they handled politics. There's a reason why, in my opinion, Black Panther did so well. It's because my understanding is, and I could be wrong because it is not a community I'm familiar with, but some friends of mine said that in the black community, Black Panther was a huge deal. Like, they all really wanted to see it. And so what ended up happening was, look, if you're a fan of Marvel, you'll probably go and see any Marvel movie regardless. And this brings me to point #2, why Captain Marvel probably is the second fastest pre-sailing superhero origin film. There are 2 reasons, none of which have to do with feminism. The first, it is another Marvel film. There are some people I've heard say that they're getting fatigued by superhero movies. I don't feel that way. And if you do, I respect your opinion, but I don't think so. They said, oh, the reason why The Last Jedi was failing or the reason why Solo failed was because of Star Wars fatigue. Bullshit. I'm going to say bullshit right now. I used to love Star Wars. Bigger Star Trek fan, but there's a reason why I didn't go and see Solo. And it's exactly what I said earlier. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You're not going to fool me a third time. Force Awakens, I thought was okay. The Last Jedi was so bad, just so bad, that it was like a fool me once, I am never going anywhere near this. My God, was The Last Jedi bad. I made several videos about it. So I actually heard Solo was an enjoyable popcorn flick. Like, it wasn't that bad, but I've never seen it. I have not seen Solo. And I talked about how the Star Wars universe, for me, I'm done. I really am. I think Captain Marvel will probably be an entertaining film. I think it's probably going to be on the scale of Black Panther. A lot of people said Black Panther was kind of generic. I think they did some things right. They talked about immigration issues and kind of contemporary politics in an interesting way. I think Captain Marvel might do this. I do trust Marvel, but my trust has been shattered by Star Wars, and that's also Disney now, okay? So first, let's do a quick peek over at the issue of the audience rating, but I got to point out something too. They say it's a 52% audience rating. You're wrong. It's at who wants to see the movie, and they keep doing this, and it's annoying. Oh my God. 39%. Okay. There's a certain point where okay, I'm going to lean more towards people on the internet who are voicing their opinion are the vocal minority. It's the same thing with the social justice identitarianism on Twitter. It is not most people. Most people don't pay attention. But at a certain point, out of 27,000 ratings, you need to recognize you actually have something going on here. This is why I think, for those that aren't familiar, the pre-sale projections, the opening weekend projections have been going down quite a bit over time. It's been covered extensively by like the quartering, where it was like 180 million, then 160, or it was like 180, then 140, then back up to 160, then down to 100, and then you get a Forbes article saying, well, if it at least gets 80 million, it'll be okay. If you've got, 27,000 people, only 40% actually want to watch it. So we're looking at maybe around like 15,000 people who are your legit Marvel fans. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna shave about 1,000 of those, because I think there might be some people who aren't overly Marvel fans who are just into the culture war politics. But let's just estimate the majority of people who are rating this are going to be fans. That's why they're coming and checking this out. Anybody who is proactive enough to actually come and look at the what people are thinking about Marvel, about Captain Marvel, and willing to rate it, are probably your more core fan base, save a few who are just interested in politics. These people are going to refuse to go for political reasons. Their friends aren't going to go with them because they're not going to drag them out. So the core fans won't be dragging their friends. It's going to bleed out into a little bit more. I wonder if that's going to have that big of an impact because, look, there are hundreds of millions of people in the United States and billions of people in the world, and you've got several markets, domestic and international. I don't know if 14,000 people can actually have a big impact, but these are the 14,000 diehards who are willing to come here and post a comment in frustration. I bet there's an even greater number of people who won't say anything, right? So there's a lot of people who comment on my videos, but seriously, if I get like 100,000 views, I get what, like 8,000 or 9,000 comments? Most people don't comment. So I think you could multiply that by a factor of 10. And I would estimate there's actually maybe like 100 plus 200,000 people who, I'll say this too, you probably have like a couple 100,000 who are like, screw the marketing, you're pushing me too hard, and I am not going to play the game like I did with The Last Jedi or otherwise, right? Then you're going to have their friends. We might be looking at hundreds of thousands of people who are not going to want to see this, but then that 1,000 I shaved off, you're looking at culture warriors who are gleefully gloating, wanting it to fail for political reasons. I'm not saying it's most people. I think it's actually relatively few, but yes, they probably do exist. And I don't think it's because they hate women. I think it's because it's politics. It's tribal. And they're going to lobby their friends to back away. Now, here's the thing. All of these claims about, like, the review bombers are claiming they're all just misogynist trolls. No. And that's the mistake you made with Ghostbusters. And that's why Ghostbusters... The Last Jedi worked for the same reason, and I think Captain Marvel is going to work. Star Wars brand power. People like Star Wars. They're willing to go see Star Wars. People like the MCU, they're willing to go see this. I think they've done something really clever with Captain Marvel. They knew they had to they were going to do a political film. They knew that they had to put a woman front and center because Hollywood wokeness. So what did they do? They made it mandatory viewing for Endgame. I am so excited for Endgame, and I'm actually kind of frustrated that they're doing this. Oh, now I have to. She's the most powerful hero. Why? That's just like you're shoehorning that in. She doesn't exist in the MCU right now. Don't just snap your fingers and make the most powerful character to defeat Thanos. I swear to God, if they give her the finishing blow on Thanos or on this new threat, I'll be furious. I would like to see Tony Stark make a suit that can hold the Infinity Stones, and he snaps out Thanos and then sacrifices himself. Something like that, okay? I want to see a big bang for the departure of Tony Stark. I do not want to see her swoop in as a Mary Sue. Dear God, please no. That would kill the MCU for me. The point is, they know that people want to see Endgame. They know Infinity War was huge. It was the most views on any trailer in history. Then Endgame comes out, and everybody wants to see Endgame. So what do? They smack this and Ant-Man and the Wasp right in the middle. So this is really clever. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the first film to have a female front and center on the poster. And but I thought Ant-Man and the Wasp was great. I thought it was a pretty good film. I think they could have done better for like the villain, but it was still really, really enjoyable. And Paul Rudd is amazing. Forgive me, forgive. Oh God, it's so terrible. I forgot the woman's name who plays Wasp. But I thought it was a good movie. I think the reason. So think about what they've done. First, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is after Infinity War, and they have a man and a woman, right? Testing the water, seeing how it goes. And admittedly, it didn't make that much money, but Ant-Man and the Wasp aren't like the best, like the most well-known characters. But now think about this. What do they do next? A full-on female lead. I think it's because they don't want this to fail, and it's political. But they're using Endgame as leverage to make you see Captain Marvel. I think Captain Marvel might actually do pretty bad. For one, as I mentioned, the reviews, the people who are willing to come and review versus the people who don't say anything, it's probably a magnitude of 10 greater. But also looking at Ant-Man and the Wasp, they're not particularly notable. Like, they're not like Spider-Man, right? They're characters who are really popular and well-known. Captain America wasn't the most popular, but he's decently well-known. Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain Marvel, not a well-known character, been rebooted several times. So you look at the numbers for Ant-Man and the Wasp that had a female lead, didn't overly politicize it. Now add this. They are politicizing the movie, which soured me to it, because I definitely went and saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I enjoyed it. Now they're politicizing Captain Marvel, and she's not a particularly well-known or well-liked character. I think, put it simply, they want to try and force you to watch the movie. I'm actually leaning towards it might not do that well opening weekend. I think it might be like, admittedly, Ant-Man and the Wasp is not here on the top pre-selling superhero films. So what? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to accept that. But anyway, this has gotten a bit rambly. I want to point the main point I want to make up as I wrap up this video is, don't be surprised if Captain Marvel actually smashes expectations. Black Panther was $1 billion movie, right? And so if Captain Marvel is trailing it as number 2 behind Black Panther, Captain Marvel might actually break like 800 million. And I'm going to say this, I do trust the MCU. Because of the weird, feminist marketing, I'm going to sit out opening weekend. But as I said, I'm definitely willing to see the movie. I do trust Marvel. But you know what? I'm going to have to throw some shade towards the leftist digital media Twitterati types who are pandering so heavily to the feminist wokeness of this that's actually pushed me away. And it's not necessarily Marvel's fault. But I will throw some shade at Marvel for their marketing. So, okay, you know what? I can't believe how many videos I've made about this, but Captain Marvel is coming up soon. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are just throwing Captain Marvel under the bus. They're expecting it to fail. They're saying it's going to be terrible. I'm not convinced that's true. I'm only going to sit this one out because the marketing has kind of, scared me. But I will add, I don't know, I'm like 50-50 on this. Because of the people who are willing to give it a thumbs down, say like they don't want to see it, maybe these pre-sales don't mean anything. And I have heard that some people can't get refunds. Maybe they've already made money. I don't know. So you know what? I'm going to stop here. I should make more videos about this. This is silly. It's coming soon, like 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm going to have another video up at 1 p.m. Clearly, I'm not at home. So stick around. This channel, 1 p.m., and I will see you then.